Go.
All right, so here we are. It's our second podcast. Is that what this
Yeah,
is? A
that's what you want to
podcast
call
or
it.
a
I don't
Zoom
know.
conversation?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'd call it.
Nice.
Conversation.
So last week we went through a bunch of stats, right? That were pretty interesting. I
Yep.
thought this week maybe we could talk a little bit about the Setzer Burnett case and the NAR settlement that was made. Um, I think that a lot of people are out there scared, not sure what to do, what that means, what's going on. And I think that we need to get back to the facts of what's really happened here. So, fact number one, we are not a NAR MLS. We are an independent MLS, multiple listing service. Our MLS actually made these changes 4 years ago, where you did not have to offer a buyer brokerage commission. Did anything change from that?
Not really. I mean,
No.
there was a lot of concern. We were all freaked out
I was a
quite a
little
bit.
concerned when they first did it, but the truth was they could have offered $1. That was way back, in 2019. They only had to have a cooperative compensation involved. Now that's not involved at all. It hasn't been since 2019. So, the truth is that sellers, when they want to sell their house, a good listing agent is going to explain to them that most buyers don't have the money to pay their side of the commission.
Yep.
Right? Most people are trying to get into their first home or even their second home. They're just limited on how much cash they have to work with. And so
Yep.
that's why it's always been something where sellers have paid the commission from their side. I don't think that's going to change. It didn't change, even though in 2019 it could have changed, but it didn't. Sellers are still offering it, and it still seems to work just fine.
Yeah, the compensation seems to vary, but it's always been negotiable, even before 2019, when our MLS adopted these rules. I remember thinking it was a radical move and I thought it was dumb. But now I'm sitting here. What year is it? 2024?
Yep.
I actually think our MLS has it right. The
Yep.
Northwest MLS has it right. It's transparent. I think it's extremely clear.
Yep.
Um,
One difference is that our MLS, the Northwest Multiple Listing Service, does have the selling office commission field in it. But that's for transparency. It has it for both the buyer side and well, I don't know if it has it for the list side because it's irrelevant. It doesn't
yeah,
have it on the list side because that's already a signed agreement. So um it's wide open to, now this year, of course, you have to have a buyer brokerage agreement or buyer service agreement. We've been teaching that at Keller Williams for what, 20 years?
yeah.
Yeah, since day one. How long has your team been using buyer brokerage agreements?
Since I got into the business 14, 15 years ago,
Yep,
because you guys wouldn't stop talking about it and
yep,
annoying me until we got it done.
that's right. You've got nothing until you've got a buyer brokerage agreement. All you've got is a friend that at that point nowadays it's not even an option. It's mandatory. You have to do it or you're not
Right.
getting paid.
Which I think
So
is a good practice too.
yeah, I mean, so the big question is, do we think that the Northwest MLS will remove the field of buyer brokerage compensation? I was in a meeting with them last week, and Justin Haig, the head head of the MLS, said that he believes they have it right, and that this time there's not going to be any changes. Doesn't mean there won't be changes down the road, but right now nothing's changing. But when that changes, I will let you know so that
Yep.
everybody knows.
And that's pretty much the conversation I've been having with our clients too, with sellers and people that asked us specifically, is that, well, commission or compensation has always been negotiable.
Yeah.
And they all pretty much have agreed. Well, yeah, it is a little bit all over the board. And when I explained to them the difference between an NAR owned MLS and then the Washington State, I mean, Western Washington, Northwest MLS, um, and what we're doing, I think they all agree that for the most part, it seems like we're leading the way a little bit in transparency and clarity as far as what's negotiable. Um, and what people are being paid. I mean, when I think about removing the potential SOC from MLS listings, the only thing I can think of is that doesn't improve any transparency at all. And I think it's going to hurt consumers, but right now nothing's changed. And that's pretty much what I'm telling my clients. There's just really no changes because of Washington State's forward thinking, which at the time I didn't really love, but
Right.
looking back, it's
Well, I
actually
can guarantee you this, when the government gets involved, it usually doesn't make matters better. I
yeah.
can't think of a single thing that they do that makes it better. But that's a whole different topic. We could go into a different podcast for that.
We need a longer period of time.
I do think that agents are going to have to get very good at articulating what they do for the client. They're going to have to explain what their value is. I believe that's how it's going to go. And if you don't get good at that, I mean, you might as well leave now, because someone's going to come in and show their value, and they're going to get your client.
Well, what I heard today was us agents have prioritized expediency over value communication. So we're trying to get things done, trying to get ahead of potential problems, taking care of things in the background, when in reality we should slow it down and show our work like we're in, second grade math.
Yeah.
Show every single step.
So what's an example of that? Give me an example of how we take care of things without even telling the client we've done it.
Well, there's one specifically from the buy side that I think is really appropriate, is when we are hired by a buyer through the services agreement. One of the things that we do is, of course, we look on the MLS, but we also make phone calls to agents. In some cases, we're actually sending out letters at our cost to specific neighborhoods, as long as the parameters are pretty specific. And there's that's a different topic on how and when to do that. But
so you're talking about trying to find houses that maybe aren't even on the market yet.
Yeah.
You're basically going out of your way, spending extra money that your client probably doesn't even know about because you've never explained it.
Yeah, because we're too busy in some cases, or we had been in the past to explain fully what that means when, hey, we're going to look for things that have yet to hit the market.
Yeah.
There's not much
That's a big value.
Saying
that's a huge value to do that.
Yeah, but to break it down and say, all right, here's what we're doing. In fact, we'll be taking out ads in specific areas for next door or on Facebook or whatever it might be. So we're breaking all of that down, and we have, and it goes over extremely well. But that, for one, is a great value to pretty much every buyer out there.
So maybe our next week podcast, maybe we should talk more about value and what some things you can do, or maybe a list of things that we do as agents that we don't even think about it because we just do it.
Actually, that's a really good idea, to look at a task list. I think I know who might have one of those.
Yeah, me too. So sounds good. Let's plan on doing that.
One more thing on the, let's imagine that our Northwest MLS does decide to remove SOC being published. Even if we did that, you and I have been talking about, well, there are plenty of other ways. One would be text messaging, phone calls, whatever that might be. That's a little more tedious, but there's another option here too, and it's kind of ingenious.
Which is
the Keller Williams listing system, the KWLS.
So that is basically every listing that Keller Williams has across the world, not just the United States. It's like our own website. It's our own interior MLS, right?
Right.
So we could easily put it on that, because it's not the MLS. It's not for everybody. It's just for our agents.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that totally could work, because that the way they've written that NAR settlement, you could have that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's been around for a long time too.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, lucky for us that was put in place a long time ago. So
All right. So then if I'm an agent that has an appointment this weekend and someone says, "Hey, tell me about this lawsuit thing," and I'm sitting at a listing appointment, what do you think I should tell them?
Well, I would say, nothing's changed. That was a settlement that's, number one, has to still get accepted, right? Not
Yeah.
supposed to start until July. But I would also say we actually changed that here in our Northwest MLS 4 years ago in
Yeah. The beginning
2019.
of it.
It's always been this way. Commissions have always been negotiable. And here's what we charge, and here's what we recommend you offer, so that the buyer's agent will also get paid. Again, nothing has to be offered, but if you don't, you've set yourself in a disadvantage to your neighbor who is offering it,
Right.
right? So you just have to show them. It's not just tell them, you got to show them. Yeah, let me show you.
Yeah.
Now, if they remove the selling office commission or the field of compensation, there's still ways to do it that you'll be able to tell. Or you can call the agent on all your CMA when you're doing your market analysis and find out what was the agent compensation on your end or on the selling office end. And you can
Yeah.
have it all documented. Show them, look, here's what they offered and here's what they got.
Yeah.
Yep.
Interesting.
So next